Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LTH product briefing. I'm here today with Sebastiaan, or Seb Bos, who is the Senior Director of Product Management for the legal tech platform, or HighQ. Welcome, Seb. How are you?
I'm all good. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you for having me.
Of course, we're excited to have you here today, largely because this really represents a culmination strategically of the integration of Dealcloser with a number of other Thomson Reuters platforms. We're going to talk about the new end-to-end transaction management use case in HighQ. Can you give us a bit of background on that?
We, as HighQ and Thomson Reuters, obviously the management use case, it's also one of those use cases where HighQ actually started with already a long time ago. And we keep on tracking down over the last few years what happened with all the different transaction management tools which are out there. We had HighQ and obviously all the great TR products which were acquired throughout the last few years. So we really wanted to make sure that for our clients and law firms and corporate legal departments that we wanted to stitch everything together in that single platform where the work can actually starts from. So when deal comes along, lawyers, associates, we don't have to think about what kind of tools we need to use for what kind of deal. We wanted to make sure that there's one place to start the deal from. One part was the closing part. So we built that integration together with Dealcloser. So now any kind of stage in the transaction process, we can fulfill with HighQ or maybe some of the other TR products.
So it's an integration of Dealcloser in HighQ, but also then integrated with Contract Express and Document Intelligence, and ultimately will also integrate co-counsel features. Is that right?
Yeah. Correct, because mostly for us, from a product management point of view, we're talking about products and features. What we're doing here is to bring all those products together and use it in a specific use case. So in this case, transaction management. So where do we use our transactional documents with Contract Express, and where do we use our data room functions with HighQ, and where do we use the AI for due diligence review together with document intelligence, and where we do closing with Dealcloser. So it's really cool. We've been doing this for some time now, which is really great. But this is one of those moments where we can actually bring all those products together, showcase it in a singular use case, end to end, and really see what the benefits are. And the good thing is every deal is different, right? So not every deal or every project goes all the way down to closing, goes all the way down to maybe post-closing, for instance. Good thing is on the platform is you can pick and choose how the building blocks work together. So if you're having a different document automation tool, that's fine. There's integration points. If you have a different AI tool which you want to use, different integration points. So also with our own ecosystem plus the wider integration points with our partner community. Yeah, as a law firm or corporate legal department or legal service provider, you can even pick and choose how you like to connect it back into the platform.
Yeah, it sounds like a very flexible solution and really provides users with that ability to run the deal from the very beginning all the way through to post-closing obligations in one platform, but leveraging the key tools that they need for that corporate transactional work. So I'm very excited to see the user journey. Would you show it to us?
Absolutely, Nikki. Let me share the screen. Here we go. And we're going to take it a bit as a user journey. So we will guide you through the different transactional steps, and then you can see where this all comes together. Law firms, corporate legal, or legal service providers, it's basically the same user journey. There's only one flavor of this platform. So it all depends if you are a corporate legal department insourcing the work yourself. You can use exactly the same tech as the law firm, and obviously the legal service provider, same thing. So actually where the work starts is what we call our transaction management dashboard. So this is basically the place where all work comes together. So it depends a bit on what kind of role you play inside the deal. So if you actually need to do work in the deal, unlucky you, but some of you work will be nicely organized within that central place. If you're just looking to see progress on certain deals, your dashboard is slightly different. If I need to interact with multiple deals, they're actually nicely listed here on the main dashboard. It is a bit of a landing place where your work can all be organized from. So if we take an example and go into one of the deals we pick up here, because obviously transaction management and end-to-end transaction management is the use case we're looking for right now. You will land, it would be called in the data room. If you're a law firm, it's typically the place where you collect all the documents with your clients, which you like to organize the work. If you are a legal department, think about your permanent data rooms. If you're on a divestment track, you can already build up your data rooms together with your clients to be prepared for the work that's coming. And here, obviously, what we'll see is that we can also drive the typical traditional data room functions. Also there, when bidders are coming in a later stage, you can manage the Q&A process together with the bidders. So typically, all your kind of data room related services. And talking about bidders, if you need to start your transactional work and your transactional documents, for instance, to produce a letter of intent content for your bidders to sign, you can actually use Content Express from an automation module built in. So as soon as I need to start producing my transactional documents, they're all in one hand, just use it directly here. It could be my LOI or my NDAs or my share purchase agreement. Every step where I need a document, nicely organized here, don't have to go anywhere else. Great, right?
So your templates can sit there, your precedent templates can sit there and just be accessed from that point.
Yeah, and this will just follow your traditional, I got my documents automated process, right? I got the questionnaire, we got the LOI here, which we can start producing, send out, get it signed with DocuSign if it's needed. Just the, I would say, normal stuff around managing your transactional documents. This is, in my example here, we're using Content Express here, right? So this is a good way how HighQ and Content Express comes together in that transactional use case. On top of that, and this is something you will see law firms and also corporate legal departments doing more and more the last few years, and then start managing that transaction management process. So the project plans, how do we manage the work from A to Z, think about resource management. Also here, obviously, you saw more and more law firms moving into the world of alternate fee arrangements, different prices. Sometimes you have real estate transactions, which are difficult to fund from a time point of view, how much time you can actually spend on it. So obviously, what you want to do is be efficient as possible. Here is a traditional efficiency use case. We want to avoid the team sending across Excel sheets or then have the date room in HighQ and then the management of the deal in Excel somewhere where you need to email it. We don't want to have it in one single place. Also here, the connection back to practical law, for instance. If you have a practical law subscription, you can use our practical law matter maps in your specific jurisdiction. Mine is UK focused, but same thing goes to US and Canada. So I can actually preload some of the knowledge management templates we have sitting here from a practical law integration, right? They're available if that is needed. A little sidestep to one of the product integration points we have with practical law. And obviously you can do that together with the client itself. So if you're a law firm or working together with a client, instead of emailing back and forth, like the due diligence request list, which typically is an Excel sheet being sent across several times. Here, let's set up just a normal task management function, but now closely connected to that transaction management. Yes.
Seb, just for viewers who are not familiar with HighQ, it's because HighQ can form a client portal so that you can decide which parts of this functionality the client will gain access to and be able to see. So you can communicate about the deal within HighQ as well, correct?
Absolutely. Your traditional collaboration functions, right? And like I said, mostly to avoid you back and forth emailing or Excel sheet emailing all the time. So, and then obviously there's a little sidetrack, and thank you for the question. That also, if you want to give the client insights around progress, then you got these, what we call automated dashboards, which basically reads the information from the other module we saw and then grouped nicely together so you can actually check what the progress is, how far we are, what is still ongoing. So you can also be transparent around your progress, what work is ongoing, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a good way to keep the client and you working, collaborating together, right? One of those standard collaboration functions which are out there. If you then move yourself through the ladder of the transaction itself, so let's assume we're moving into due diligence, and maybe it's vendor due diligence first, right? I need to do my legal, tax, finance, vendor due diligence together with the client to prepare my work. And this is something you go into the next stage. And this is then traditionally the associate or like the legal department, the legal ops, or the lawyers themselves. Typically, I need to review every document in the data room to check for any potential issues with the documents which we need to flag and manage with the client. Again, here we got then the checklist here nicely organized in a single place. Why we want to do that? Very simple. Again, avoid the issue which we saw in the past that teams are then putting issue lists in Excel sheets and Word documents, sending across email. Now we want to have that organized here in that central place. Why? Simple, could be efficiency, but also wanted to make sure that every issue we report, that's the underlying thing. We want to group that together for you, so all issues we can actually track now in a central place. Why? If I'm ready to start producing my due diligence report, which is the output, I don't want to waste time around merging results together and Excel sheets together and Word format. We want to just press a button here and say, okay, thank you. All those issues will be merged into my due diligence report, where again, we're using Content Express to build that report. So we don't waste hours and time, which we can't bill on time at work, which we don't have to anymore. So this is one of the little things you can do, which have big impact in the way how you manage your transaction, for instance, when it comes down to lost hours and write-offs and those kind of things, right? And even nowadays, it's more important because even with people not having available anymore in the team to do the review work, we don't want to waste their time on tedious merging of documents and those kind of things.
And as you mentioned previously, for automation of due diligence, you could integrate with an external provider. Ultimately, CoCounsel will also be available to support that functionality. So that can be built in as well.
Absolutely. And then a level up obviously sits in, okay, how can we be more efficient there too? Is to say, look, okay, let's then use the built-in AI hub functionality, which as soon as we enable it, reads all the documents we're sitting in the data room and do the classification of agreements for you, which could be as simple as we can see here. Let's pre-classify all the documents with change of control clauses or exclusivity clauses or integration clauses. And why we want to do that here is that instead of the team now reviewing every agreement in the data room, we can just focus on the ones that actually have those specific M&A sensitive clauses we need to review. And so we're just turning the table around. Instead of focusing on 100 documents to review, we're focusing on this case too. But that's the whole concept of the, let's say, the traditional AI, which we had a few years back, is to make sure we don't waste time on reviewing every document, just review the documents you actually need to review based on the fact that they have an M&A specific clause we need to review. And as you can see here, we can also then jump into that document and then have a more detailed view around what kind of provisions were found, where they're found, what the relevance is, and put that back into my checklist, which we see here on the left, and that will be automatically merged back into my issue list, which already have setting here. And again, I can use that to produce the due diligence checklist. So I can also use AI, traditional clause extraction based AI, to start automating my due diligence review work. And also here, this is all meant around saving time, saving hours. This could be around the fact that your transaction is priced differently, right? This could be a cap fee or fixed price. Obviously, we want to make sure we are as efficient and up margin as possible to actually do the review work. The hub is also available with other integration points. So outside of document intelligence, there are also other AI providers you can put in and interact and connect using AI Hub. Same functionality, only different AI providers, right? That's all depending on what the law firm or corporate legal department is using.
And then as you move towards closing, how does the platform facilitate that?
Yeah, and this is indeed and this is the quickest transaction we're ever going to do. So we move after the diligence work, right? Let's be good when the diligence completed and all good. And we ended up into closing, then we can actually move and connect what we call then the HighQ side into Dealcloser, which means that I can do the full complicated checklist management in Dealcloser with all the nitty-gritty work that needs to be done, unfortunately, during closing to get all the signatures in, right? With all signature management, complicated functionality sometimes, but we want to organize the work. Also here again is to automate Excel sheets, obviously, and get rid of the necessity to ping back and forth Excel sheet to track down, okay, who has actually signed what kind of document and what the main use case is. What we've done is that also on the main dashboards, it automatically pulls information back or pushes information back into HighQ, so we can actually track how we're doing from a closing point of view without actually being into Dealcloser, which is helpful from a top level reporting point of view, right? So we can see how much documents we still need to do, that we can see the current status. You can see here around, hey, are we still in closing, yes or no, doing that inside of Dealcloser. And obviously what we want to do here is to say, look, as soon as the closing is finished, we can also put the closing books, or closing binder, or closing Bible, how you like to call it, it's all the same thing, and the archives automatically back into HighQ. And actually, as soon as I want to pick up and connect the project, I can actually go into Dealcloser and say, look, I want to connect this Dealcloser project, this checklist with the HighQ data room. We can reuse all kinds of information like the parties already in the site. We can reuse back into the checklist. You don't waste time doing that again, obviously. We want to make sure that the closing is done in Dealcloser. We got then the integration points back. So as soon as closing is finished, you can come back here. The closing books are archived. Great, thank you. And then if you have that services available, or you do that as a corporate legal department, which is obviously great, then you can actually move and also have the post-closing integration services available directly on the platform, which is pretty cool because if you're a corporate legal department, then you can just use the data room functionality for the clean team, start the integration project, and then, for instance, you can manage some of the core capabilities we have set up, which again are fully flexible. So if it's needed, and for people that don't know HighQ, this is one of the power elements which we always had. It's fully flexible. You don't need a magician or a developer to make those changes. Basically, all configurations. If you like to have more KPI points than what we have here on a standard template, you can just change it. Off you go, right? And when I mentioned what standard template is for some of our clients that like to have a head start, we already provide things like this KPI checklist, this RACI matrix with more advanced project management functionality. They're all saved in a what we call a solution template. So if law firms or public want to use that as a starting point, pick the template as a starting point, make the change necessary in their own. They can even make it much better, but they already have a starting point. So they don't have to do something from scratch, right? If that makes sense.
And from a law firm perspective, they can also manage post-closing obligations here.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, and that can be combined together with the different checklists which are available day 1, day 100, day 90. Manage obligations, right? And then obviously you can use the dashboards again, which automatically read it to manage your reporting, your progress reporting back to the board. Check how it's going and progressing against your board books, all those kind of things you can manage directly here on the platform too. What I like, but that's just a personal thing, that every deal is also slightly different, right? So not every deal comes to closing even. Not every deal needs post-closing. Not every deal needs AI. Not every deal needs Gen AI or co-counsel. It all depends on the deal and the functionality. What we're trying to provide is, look, as soon as your clients need that functionality, if you are working, even if it's in-house or at a law firm, as soon as you pitch, so if you do your work, you provide those as client services, as soon as you need it, you have it available, right? You don't have to worry about, oh, we can't offer that, or we can't scale out on those services yet because we need to find another tool, or maybe the tool we're using right now doesn't do post-closing, or doesn't do date rooms, or doesn't have, right? For us, it's already around, okay, every time a service is needed, off you go. And just to make that example more clear is that if you are, for instance, doing a buy-side deal as a law firm, for instance, you don't need post-closing services, you don't need some of the functionality. So when you then set up a deal like we've done here, you just need the project management functionality to manage the due diligence review process in another data room. I just need more simple functionality. And then when we set up that deal, which we have here, just has less functionality. Great. As soon as I need to scale out or start a new deal with all that functionality, I can actually enable that. I don't have to develop it, build it or something. I can simply go in and enable the building blocks, and they're there, right? And that's what we do with end-to-end. We provide end-to-end functionality. We don't have to need to use them for every deal, right? It's depending on the deal, but you as a law firm or corporate legal department, it's a service you offer, or the service you offer as a legal department, which basically will save you some time on outside counsel spend.
It's fantastic. Seb, thank you so much for showing it to us. I really like the flexibility, as you say, and the fact that it can be customized depending on the type of deal, and the ease of having the different tabs and checklists built in to really help people move through the deal. It's really elegant.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you for the time.
Of course. Thanks so much for joining us. For those watching, we will put a URL at the bottom that will help you get in touch with Seb and his team if you want to know more. Seb, one final question. Is this available as an independent product?
Yes, and the template support that's already available right now, but indeed it will be as an independent product.
Wonderful. Well, Seb, thank you so much for joining us. And thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.